Check this out, you guys. There's nothing more beautiful than a Ford GT. This iconic white on red, this car is absolutely gorgeous. But as a daily driver, it's exposed to all kinds of contaminants. Things like road tar, tree sap, industrial fallout, metal oxide, ferrous oxide, metal brake dust. All these contaminants seem to land and stick on our paint jobs, giving it a really rough feel. Now, in order to remove these contaminants and give us that smooth as glass paint finish, we definitely want to use either a SmartClay bar or a SmartClay block. Now, after you've freshly washed your vehicle and you rub your hand over the surface and you hear that rough feeling or you can feel that rough texture, that means those contaminants are still embedded in the paint. So what we want to do is we want to break out our clay bar, which is very simple and easy to use. You can either use it as a complete clay block or you can break it into thirds, which I prefer to do. Let me explain why. If you drop a piece of this clay onto the ground, it's now contaminated and you can no longer use it. What it actually will do is it'll actually pick up all of the debris and stuff that's on the ground. You turn around and pick this piece of clay up and start rubbing it over the surface of the car, you're definitely going to create some damage. So let's be sure we keep 2 extra pieces into our airtight container for future use. Next thing we want to do is we want to use Smartdetail spray. What this is actually going to do, this is going to create a lubricant for us to actually glide the clay over the surface of the car. So we've got this rough finish and we want to give it that smooth as glass paint finish. We're going to take the quick detail spray and you're going to use quite a bit of lubricant. This is a perfect lubricant for the clay bar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this and flatten it out in a pancake shape, and we're going to take small areas and start using the detail spray as our lubricant and rubbing it back and forth using a little bit of pressure and some elbow grease to remove those contaminants. Now once we're done using our clay bar, what we want to do is we want to set that aside, take a clean dry microfiber towel and wipe the surface clean, flip it over and dry it off. You'll notice after using the clay bar we now have a smooth as glass paint finish. Another great application for the clay bar is the acrylic headlight lenses that we're so used to getting damaged. Exact same procedure. All we want to do is spray plenty of lubricant over the lens, take our clay bar, and lightly go over the surface, removing all the contaminants that are embedded into the acrylic. Once we've got the contaminants off the surface of the acrylic, take your clean dry microfiber towel and wipe that lens nice and clean to a beautiful finished acrylic lens. And yet another great application for the clay bar is to remove your windshield wiper blade out of the way, take your Smartdetail spray, put a fine mist over the windshield, lightly take your clay bar, rub it over the surface of the glass, and give that glass that smooth finish, removing all of the contaminants that stick on the windshield as well. Take a clean dry microfiber towel, wipe the windshield nice and clean, flip it over. One of the newest innovations in paint contamination removal is the Clayblock. One of the cool things about the Clayblock, different than clay, if you were actually drop this piece of clay on the ground, it is now contaminated and no longer usable. One of the nice things about a Clayblock, if you do drop it on the ground and gets a little contaminants, all you do is you take your Smartdetail, spray some Smartdetail over the surface of the Clayblock, and wipe it clean, and it's clean and ready to use for your next job. Just like the traditional clay bar, the clay block is simple and easy to use. And in fact, a lot of times it's a lot easier to use because you got such a good grip on the foam. What you want to do is you want to take the Smartdetail spray, just like I did the traditional clay. I want to put a lot of lubricant down. Take my clay block and go back and forth, front to rear, in one direction while I clay the surface of this paint. You'll feel these contaminants being removed right off the surface of the paint using the clay block itself. After I'm done claying the surface, I want to take a clean, dry microfiber towel and I want to remove the Smartdetail spray, flip over to a nice dry side, polish up to a high shine. The clay block definitely delivered a smooth as glass paint finish, just like the traditional clay. It's very important to make a note that once you start claying the vehicle, you always want to clay from front to rear. In all cases, from front to rear, all the way through the entire car. From front to rear, going in one direction the whole time you're claying the surface of the vehicle. To remove these contaminants and give us that smooth as glass paint finish, use either a SmartClay bar or a SmartClay block.